This week's episode is brought to you by our very proud sponsor, Slabbed Cards, who specialise in card grading with PSA and SGC. Slabbed Cards are authorised PSA dealers, and card grading starts from $54.95 and includes full insurance, secure storage. Slabbed Cards have 2 tons of back-grade safes, 24-hour surveillance, and are located in a guarded, monitored building. All cards are scanned on arrival and are available to you for viewing at any time, and Slab Cards provide automatic progress notifications. Your submissions also come with complete tracking and notifications from start to finish. Slab Cards also offer specialized shipping services, domestic shipping service with up to $10,000 insurance per parcel, domestic secure hand-to-hand shipping service delivery within 24 hours of pickup, and international shipping with up to $150,000 of insurance per parcel. Contact Slab Cards for a quote at slabd.com.au. That's slabd.com.au. And also find them at 60 Weymount Street in Adelaide. Thanks very much for supporting us, Slab Cards. Welcome, everybody, to episode 29 of the You Can't Comp This NBA podcast. I'm here with Adam Amy, our always co-host. How are you, Ad?
I'm alive and kicking. So that's yeah.
That's all you can ask for, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I shouldn't undersell it. I'm eagerly anticipating who's going to come runner-up in this year's NBA Finals.
Yep.
When we watch Game 7 tomorrow between Miami and Boston.
And we have a very special guest with us this week. It's Martin Holmes. Martin, welcome, mate.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
What's been going on in the card world from your end, Martin?
Personally, not too much, but I haven't done a lot lately. But other than that, I've been keeping an eye on the soccer market with the World Cup coming up. So that's my big thing at the moment.
Yeah, that's huge.
The biggest sporting event in the world.
Yeah. So this week we've got a bit to go through. Martin's going to come on and talk a fair bit of soccer with us. We're going to talk about some Goldins Auctions that have finished this week.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to break down some playoff action as it's happening. And we're going to go through the All-NBA teams too. And just to finish it off, we've got some really good listener questions too. So I think we should kick off with Martin. And Martin, the floor's yours, mate. Just have a chat to us about what's happening in the soccer world and what product is kicking off at the moment.
And so currently, like the big product getting kind of sold and broken everywhere is the current release of the Premier League Prism.
Sure.
That seems to be everywhere at the moment.
Who doesn't love Prism, though? It's like it's taken over WWE. It's easily the flagship of NBA.
If we get a sport that nobody likes and Prism do a release, do you reckon people buy it?
Yeah.
Like dodgeball.
Yep.
How sick would that be?
Yeah, people would.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen what's happened with Topps Chrome.
Yes. So looking at the soccer release calendar, according to Blowout, next month there should be a Champions League release, which is Topps Chrome.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a big one.
Yep.
So that's Champions League. So that's like the best of the best in Europe.
Okay.
So that's the next big one. And then obviously we've got a World Cup coming up at the end of the year. So no doubt Panini will they release a Prism for the World Cup.
Yep.
I haven't seen anything on it yet. I'm not sure if they've scheduled anything. Obviously, there's a paper shortage going around, so they're struggling to produce cards, as you know.
Yeah, it's really weird at the moment. It's like the releases in basketball are so spread out, and they just keep getting pushed back and pushed back. So it's
what are the I guess my big question is comparatively to things like we'll say NBA. NBA is the easiest example. There's 750,000 releases a week. What is soccer like? Like, are there many different sets, or is it a little bit more staggered?
Yeah, and soccer's a strange one because obviously Panini and Topps both hold different licenses in the soccer world.
Yeah, I picked that up with the Topps Chrome and the Prism, and
so obviously Panini do like a Chronicles release. They do the Prisms.
Yep.
A Select. They've got a Mosaic they did last year for the European Championships.
Yep.
And then Topps, you've got your European Champions League. They do a Bundesliga release, which is all like Topps Chrome. There's a Topps Merlin. And I think they also did a Topps museum, which was like real high end stuff. That was quite nice.
So how does it? Because I know like the world game is a lot different to the NBA.
Yes.
There are leagues galore. There's ways those leagues cross over with one another.
Yep.
And then obviously, as you said, the World Cup's coming at the end of the year. I believe in the World Cup, there's going to be a lot of players from a lot of teams that are probably licensed to either Topps or Panini. How does the licensing work? Does it, like when it comes to something like the World Cup, are there players that Topps can't touch or Prism can't touch and vice versa?
I haven't looked into that kind of as such, but so Panini they usually do a Prism release, so they should do again.
Yeah.
And normally, so it'll be like your stock standard base, silvers, colours.
Yep.
In terms of autos, there are some players that hold their own rights and whatnot, and they won't sign.
Yep.
Others, they're happy. They'll sign a piece of paper and
they'll sign anything.
Yeah, basically. So Panini obviously have to pick their players very carefully as to who they get to sign cards and whatnot. But yeah, most players will end up on a card. It's just there's only a select few that will end up signing anything.
Okay. I'm guessing that has an impact on autos as a general thing in the soccer world.
And so does that sort of make, like, for example, Merlin more popular because it's got a particular autograph in it, whereas
so
like Merlin, a Prism product wouldn't?
Like Merlin's a good product. There's a lot of the rookies out of the various European leagues, like the Belgian league, the Dutch league, whatnot, that if you bought Prism, which at the moment you can only get the Premier League stuff, you're not going to see that. So some of the bigger rookies that are probably set to explode this season coming up, you can't get them unless you get a Topps product.
Oh wow! Okay, so that's
interesting.
Yeah,
So
it feels like there's a learning curve when it comes to jumping into the market. Even if you're a hardcore soccer fan, like what you collect and how you go about collecting it.
Yep.
So with the different products that you said Mosaic and you said Select.
Yep.
I feel as though in NBA, Mosaic is not everyone's cup of tea. So how do soccer fans take to a release like Mosaic?
Pretty much the same. It's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
Like obviously, I'm a fan of Mosaic. I like Mosaic.
Yeah.
But there are people that they just don't like the design of the cards.
Yeah.
They prefer the simpler Topps.
Yep.
Design. So it's pretty similar to basketball. Some like Prism, some like the Select, some like the Mosaic. But I like the Mosaic.
Yep.
And is soccer where NBA's at, where they've got hobby, retail, and then they've got, in addition to that, choice products?
Yeah. So in a lot of the Topps products, you can get your hobby boxes, and then obviously in the Panini products, you can get things like your hybrids, your megas, your blasters, your cereal boxes. It's mainly Panini that do the various range of box releases.
Yeah. They're prolific, aren't they, with their production schedule? No wonder they've run out of paper, actually, when you say it like that. Like, it's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, Panini are not out of control, but I mean, they just want to they want to capitalize. They want to make as much product as possible.
Yeah.
To make sure that there's always supply for the amount of demand there is, I guess.
Yeah, you release one product like Prism, but there's 6 different types of boxes you can buy for it.
Yeah.
Correct. And there's one different variant in each, so you probably should get your hands on a bit of everying.
Yeah.
Hey, if your parallel's not in that box, you got to look elsewhere. Yeah, it's interesting.
What's a cereal box? We don't have that in NBA.
A cereal box, I've probably got one here. They're just a little box, and they've got like one packet, and I think they've got about 20 cards in them.
Is that similar to a hanger in NBA?
Yeah, it's probably the similar to a hanger.
Right, yeah.
They're just in a little box.
Is it spelled with an S or a C?
It's a C.
as in like a breakfast.
As in cereal that you would eat.
Oh my god!
Like a little mini.
Do you remember the variety packs of like Cocoa Pops and cornflakes and stuff you used to get the 10-pack?
That's about the size that they are.
So, would you rather open a cereal box or a hanger? I'm probably leaning towards cereal box personally.
If they came in the lots of 10, like the variety, I'd be in for it.
Like NBA, UFC,
Yeah, just chuck it in a box. Yeah. Keep it rather protect it a little bit more. Oh boy, yeah. No, the product. It's interesting. It always intrigues me when I look at NBA and the vast range of products that there are, and to see other sports sort of going through that growth period and having different products. So, soccer or football, depending where you live in the world, it seems like an obvious sport to cover. Like, sure, basketball, like baseball, it's all Americanized, but this is a global game and this is got global reach. Why wouldn't you have the world's biggest game?
Logically, yeah.
In a obviously, as we've just seen, Topps and Panini vying for control.
Yeah.
But it's all just having different player pools, which has got to make it a headache for collectors. But yeah, it's
now that Panini owns Topps, maybe that isn't going to be such a big deal moving forward.
There's a. Yeah. I was going to say, and what licensing wise, a Panini sticking with football after Fanatics take NBA, or is
I'm led to believe they will be.
Yeah.
I haven't read anything that says otherwise, but
Fanatics Fanatics haven't taken the license to.
As far as I know, they haven't, but it wouldn't surprise me if they poach it. I mean, it is a very big market.
We'll definitely see what happens when Panini do lose their rights to print certain sports and how that impacts. If it does end up on a spiral, then maybe Fanatics do pick it up. But yeah, it's good to see that that football is one of those sort of it appears to be growing as far as hobbies go.
It's definitely picking up. There's a lot more soccer card groups on the likes of Facebook and that now than there has been in 12 months. It's just exploding.
Yeah, and it's interesting the timing because the basketball spike, I guess, for the hobby was 2 years ago or just over 2 years ago at the beginning of COVID. So it's interesting that soccer didn't take off at that point, that it sort of waited. And then
everyone was doing NBA. Yeah, they had no coin left for soccer.
That's it. NBA, baseball, and Pokemon. Don't forget Pokemon. Yes.
Hey,
it's growing. I like. It seems like it's got a natural trajectory. Here in Australia, I guess it's not as big a sport, and it is growing. As a soccer collector, do you find it difficult to get product in Australia, or?
Yeah, to get product, you have to go to the US and bring it in direct that way. So you can't get a box here in Australia without paying through the nose.
Is it something, I haven't been to an EB in a while, is it something you just rock up to EB games and there might be a little bit there?
No, not that I've seen. I mean, I check my local EBs and Zings and all that regularly.
The only football I ever see is Gridiron, NFL.
Yeah, if you go to Kmart, you might be able to get a couple of packs of Match Attacks every now and again, which is like the dirtiest, cheapest of cheap that you can possibly get. And
imagine there was a cheap version of Hoops. Is that what you?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Do you mean cheaper version of Hoops?
Yes.
Like a cheap knockoff version of Hoops. Imagine that.
Yeah,
that's Match Attacks.
Yeah. Like some people obviously love that stuff, and it comes with like a digital game. You can play a digital game with the cards and whatnot. But it's not
a collector thing. It literally is for the kids.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a product designed for the kids. Yeah.
Great. Did you guys listen to Sports Cards Nonsense this week?
I have.
No, I've been listening to the Johnny Depp trial all week. Our house has been taken over with it.
Oh, mate.
I'm waiting for Russell to mute my microphone now.
My eyes are rolling so far into the back of my head. You can't see my eyes anymore.
I haven't left the house in so long. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. I don't know what we're going to do with ourselves. It's 3 days of deliberation. Anyway, Not the point. Not the point. I didn't listen to Sports Card Nonsense. No, I
Well,
didn't.
they were talking about Topps Chrome, and what they were talking about was with Panini buying them, they've already started to take over the distribution. So that was one of the things that they were, speculating on and sort of discussing that will be one of the changes. So they haven't done it in any other area. It's just been the soccer that they've started to do. But you would assume it's going to be like, like a test or something else they're going to roll out across the board. So I think that's super interesting.
Interesting.
And the person who they had on interviewing, he wasn't particularly fond of the changes that they'd made. And that's you would say it's relatively small compared to the rest of the, the market.
Yeah.
Because wasn't he saying that Fanatics had already looked at cutting 2 or 3 of their major distributors already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they had done. Yeah.
Interesting changes in the wind.
And then the other thing that they postulated on, the entire sort of podcast crew, was that actually Fanatics is trying to take over Panini. So,
yes.
I mean,
they're trying, and look, they've got a little bit of time left before the things change hands.
Yeah, there's a few more years, isn't there, to smash out a deal. But to me, that's just the logical step now. If they're going to be this umbrella company, and they've got Topps in the stable, they need Panini, I think, in the worst possible way. So,
yes, but it's interesting to see a market where Topps Chrome and Prism exist.
I mean, why not? Why can't they work it out so it can happen?
No,
and
I think it's a great. I think it's actually just good for the hobby, because there are older collectors that Topps Chrome is the upper echelon, and then you've got the modern day collectors that are Topps Chrome doesn't. The words Topps Chrome doesn't mean much at all, and it's all Prism, having a silver Prism.
So I think the test pilot that they did was Topps Chrome OTE. And
that was to
say that was not well received, I think that's being nice about it. You can still buy it from all retail markets, online Target in the US.
Yeah.
It basically hasn't sold out.
But is that because of the player selection? Or the way the product has been, do you know what I mean? All right, so we understand that football is an international game, right?
Yeah.
If the Topps Chrome release was for some random minor league in Ecuador, where it's basically a domestic basketball league equivalent, would the product be received well?
Look,
no offense to the OTE players selected, but people your prospect. We literally discussed it being a prospecting set, but these guys are putting their hat in the ring to maybe put themselves into the draft. They're not actual prospects. They're 2 stages down from being an actual prospect.
Well, 3 of them are going to be drafted in the first round this year. So I think the relative comparison is Prism draft. And I don't know what the sales numbers are for both, but I think you can very easily say that more Prism draft has sold than Topps OTE did.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
I'm not catastrophizing here, but I'm more just trying to raise the point that, Topps is available, but why aren't people opening it, even just to see what it is to open and get their hands on it? I haven't seen any on Australian pages. I haven't seen.
Well, I've seen the one break, and I do like some of the cards that I've seen.
Yeah, look, we did one, but I'm definitely not doing it again. It literally took a week to fill.
It looked like a tough fill. But
well, it's hard to fill it. It's a product that you can't split it into teams.
We just did a pack break, but
yeah.
More to the point, also to me, the after sale of it, that's what I haven't really seen. Even on eBay, if you search for it, it'll come up, but it doesn't come up randomly into other searches that you do. So I just don't think there's the volume of it being, flipped or anything like that.
Can I play devil's advocate on that?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
So, all right, and now I've said there's a bunch of players that potentially not even going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
If, on the other hand, a superstar emerges,
100%,
and is drafted, does that set just instantly sell out across the world?
It won't sell out, but I think that instead of the current retail at the moment, I think is $200 US.
Okay.
That's for hobby.
If one of these prospects gets drafted and wins Rookie of the Year, does the product go from 200 US to 1,000 US?
I think more realistically, it might go 200 to 300, and then maybe top end would be 400. Because
but I'm at what point does the product become either complete trash or extremely valuable?
Well, again, so let's tie that back to Prism Draft Picks Hobby. Look, I think the most that's ever sold for was like 600 US, and that was at the peak, like the absolute peak.
And that's got the Prism name attached to it.
And
as
that
far
also
as,
had
like, it's got them in college uniforms, but
yeah, and it had live LaMelo autos. That was like the kicker.
Yeah,
for
that
product.
was the peak of that product.
And also keep in mind that was also when he wasn't signing anything else, right? So essentially, if you wanted a live auto, that was the product that you would dipping into. But and again, it's like a Topps product, and so I suppose I'm probably repeating myself here, but the thing that's really taken my mind the most is that Topps hasn't probably been as well received as what I've noticed. But moving into the next part of what I want to say was the schedule. So actually the schedule now that is released by Beckett, they're actually peppering in all the Topps releases too. So they're not just releasing now like the Panini schedule, they're mixing that in with the Topps. So I think that's going to be really interesting to sort of see how that plays out, because are we almost going to be having like a 2-tiered release schedule coming up to us?
Very possible, yeah. It's interesting. Anyway,
Martin,
I think I've just segued to something.
Yeah,
I do this a lot. I do tend to just come up with an idea and just go, let's go down a rabbit hole.
So we've segued so hard. But anyway, Martin, my next question for you is, the last time you came on, you gave us some prospects suggestions.
Yes.
Can you tell us a couple of those that you prospected, and can you give us an update, please, mate? Because we have to hold you accountable for these like wild accusations that you've been making.
So I think last time I mentioned probably 3 players.
Yep.
So 2 of them were Arsenal players, and that's purely because I'm an Arsenal supporter myself.
You can be a homer, mate. That's totally fine.
Yeah. So Bukayo Saka, young English winger / forward.
Yeah.
Now he has gone on. He is probably now Arsenal's best player. He will have a role with England at the World Cup. It wouldn't surprise me if he really stars at this World Cup for England.
So just to like give you some perspective of what Adam and I expect from you, is we just want to know, card ladder the last 3 months, is he up 20% or is he down 20%? Okay,
I'm going to take a stab without looking and say he will be up.
Yeah.
How do you spell his name? I'm on card ladder.
Bukayo.
So lads, I'm not going to lie to you. The reason why I asked you, Martin, is because there's no way I could spell that dude's name. So
Saka and the Saka is Saka.
Yeah.
All right. The only one I can find on card ladder is the Kaboom.
Yep.
It's actually down 20%.
Down, is it?
PSA 10. That's the raw. Down 20%, yeah. Even the 10. Last sold 1,040 US on April 26th.
Okay.
Starting price of $1,350, yeah.
So
that's probably
actually
higher than I would have thought.
Yeah, so the raw last sold was $620, the Kaboom. So is that a buy at that price?
Yeah, I would. If I had that money sitting in my account, I'd probably jump on one.
And that's the thing. Like, you're right as far as, and we do run it back to things that do and don't make sense. Things stick out to me that a PSA 10 is selling for $1,000. So for like $400 difference, you can have the raw card or spend $400 and have a PSA 10. Like,
yeah, you're right, Ed. That's
I'm buying a PSA 10 at that price.
It's the common sense move, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Particularly the way grading prices are at the moment, and
the cost to grade.
Yeah.
And just simply, the time. It's, you can send a card. You can send the raw card off and spend $100, $200 to get it graded, and come back with a 9. Or you can spend $400 and just buy a 10.
So, what are some of the factors that would make him drop down 20%, Martin?
Honestly, I'd have to think end of season.
Oh, okay. So it's off season, is it, mate?
Obviously, the season's only just ended like last week.
Okay.
And that sale was, what did you say it was, Adam? April.
26th of April was the last.
Okay.
Yeah. So Arsenal probably had a little bit of a dip in form. So that probably affected it a bit.
Yeah.
Other than that,
he's not injured or...
No, he hasn't been injured. He's he's pretty fit. So
All right.
all I can think of is obviously Arsenal's little dip in form, and obviously now in the off season.
Yeah, so it's sort of
people are probably now looking at things like NBA and F1 rather than soccer.
Yeah, that's
very possible.
Crazy, hasn't it?
Well, we see NBA drops through the off season quite regularly.
Yeah,
we're approaching that time of the year where sort of like June, July, and we're in the sort of the downhill slope, except for you've got players that are about to win a Finals MVP or play in the NBA Finals. And
that's probably one of the big differences between like the NBA and any of the soccer leagues. So you guys have got 16 teams starting playoffs where the soccer season finishes. That's it. Everyone's done. There's no playoffs unless you're in Australia or the US, where they live on these final systems.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, but there's also the weird. Well, I guess it's not weird, but just with soccer, there's so many international games that happen outside of the call them exhibition games. Maybe is that probably
There was an exhibition game in Australia last week. We had the A-League All-Stars up against Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
So Barcelona, most of the big teams, they'll do a world tour. They'll go to various places, do exhibition games. I think next month here in Perth, we've got 4 Premier League clubs coming and playing. So most of them usually play their young players and squads. So it's actually a good... If you can get along or get footage of the game, you can actually do a little bit of prospecting on some of their younger players.
Awesome.
And I was going to say, with all the exhibition games, is that an opportunity for it to for players to be, I suppose, to go up and things like that?
I wouldn't say particularly. Like the Barcelona game last week, you could see that neither team were at 100%. Neither team were really putting in 100%. The A-League All-Stars had a crack late trying to win it, but you can see Barcelona were just in cruise control, really.
Yeah.
So I don't think games like that would really affect pricing too much.
It's one of the... I guess there's nothing much on the line.
Yeah.
If there's nothing on the line, players don't give it their all. They don't want to get injured. Geez, and don't want to start a new season with an injury, so I guess they do.
It. You don't want a player that's worth 60, 65 million pounds ending up injured for 6 months in an exhibition game.
No, that would be quite unfortunate.
But for growing the sport and promoting them as ambassadors and all that, that's money in the bank, isn't it?
It's about promoting the team brand and the sport worldwide and shirt sales.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
The next group of Barcelona fans, that's just genius, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's another player that you did last time, Martin? How's that going?
So one of the other ones I did was Ferran Torres, who at the time was at Manchester City. So he made a mid-season move in the January transfer window to Barcelona. I'm going to say he's probably on the down. He didn't get a lot of game time at Barcelona. He has scored a few goals. But in saying that, coming up to a World Cup this year, he will probably be in the Spanish squad. So while he's on the down, if you can find something of his, I would probably be looking at purchasing.
Okay, so even though he's on the down, you're still pretty high on this dude.
Yeah, obviously he's not getting a lot of game time at Barcelona, but Barcelona have been bringing in players left, right, and centre.
Yeah, okay.
So they've got a ridiculous squad at the moment. So game time for some of these younger players are at a premium.
Okay. Any final thoughts on soccer before we move on, mate?
Obviously, like I've said, we've got a World Cup coming up this year.
Yeah.
So if you do wish to look at trying to make a quick buck for the World Cup, look at some of the younger players that are probably 23 and under that will be making World Cup squads and could possibly have, all it's going to take is one breakout game, one goal, one incredible moment, and their prices will go bananas.
Interesting.
You're going to have, not just millions of people, but billions of people watching.
Interesting. Yeah, radio. So give us a breadcrumb, Martin. What do you got for us?
I've just recently purchased a couple myself. I've got them here. So I've got on the bandwagon of this one's speculative. I'm not sure if he'll make the squad, but he might.
We love speculation on this show, Martin.
Yeah. So Camavinga, he's a young player for Stade Rennes in France, and he could possibly make the French squad. And I think if he does, he will probably shine. And another one that I've got on board is Reina Jesus, and he should make a World Cup squad for Brazil, I think it is. But even if he doesn't make a World Cup squad, he's in a very good league in Germany, and I think it's only going to be a matter of 12 months, and he'll probably be in the Premier League or at Bayern Munich scoring goals for fun.
Well, I was going to say, so which sets do we have to buy if we were prospecting these?
They're both tops.
Tops, yeah.
So,
European. Yeah. Anything sort of outside of the Premier League is tops,
yeah,
isn't it?
So, yeah, basically anything out of the Premier League, you're looking at tops. Chronicles crosses a few different leagues, but I'd stay away from Chronicles. Chronicles is a little bit like the NBA Chronicles.
Yep. Hit and miss.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of the NBA.
Yeah, let's get on it. So I think what we should talk about this week is Goldins Auctions, because we had a guest on probably about a month ago now, Brian Forsman.
Yes.
And what they did was a flawless 2-case break, and they sold the lot. Two of the cards.
I remember this. Yep.
Yeah. Two of the cards they sent to Goldins, and one of them was an Anthony Edwards 1/1 on-card auto.
Mm-hmm.
And, I can't speak for Brian's emotions, but he was quite visibly upset with the return. I think it returned $16,000 or $18,000, which was probably about 20 odd less than what they were, realistically expecting. So
yeah,
there's been previous discussions around Goldins Auctions that actually, particularly for low end, you can get some really good bargains on there. And has the bottom fallen out of the market, or has the bottom fallen out of, of Goldins Auctions? So I've actually just been spending a little bit of time just, looking at some of the auction results that have finished recently. And one I particularly want to talk about, I've put that into the link, boys. It's a Ja Morant. Actually, it's been graded by SGC.
Mm-hmm.
And
population of 1. Is that because it's the only one that's been graded by SGC? That was rough and unwarrantedly so.
I don't know how they count the numbering, but I mean, look, it's
once
SGC
they regulate
10.
the hobby, we'll be fine.
Yeah. So actually, I saw this on Australian page, so I think that this was purchased by an Australian boy, and it sold for $15,600. Flawless RPA on card auto, 2-color patch, 9 out of 10, 10 for the card, 9.5 for the auto. Or have I got that? No, I've got it around the wrong way. 9.5 for the card and 10 for the auto.
10 for the auto, yeah.
So
it's just because it's done the opposite way to.
Yeah. When you see these numbers, though, how do you guys feel about that? Do you think that's something that is undervalued in the current market?
I think someone's paying current prices, not future prices for the card.
Yeah.
For once.
Yeah. Interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
What do you think about that, Martin?
Honestly, when you first showed me, I thought it was probably unders.
Yeah.
I would have thought you'd at least be thinking minimum 20.
Yeah.
But has it possibly gone for less because it is SGC and it's not PSA or BGS?
Yeah. I would definitely agree with that. So the first thought that came to my head was that. The second thought that came to my head, it's not the standard vertical RPA, it's the horizontal one.
It's the horizontal.
And I've never done a price comparison, between the two, but I know in my head that these ones do sell for a little bit less, but I wouldn't say 50% less. And if you told me that this card went for $30K, I wouldn't be losing sleep over that. Like, that would be okay. So the person who bought this, on the post that they put up, they basically said this is going to their vault, and it's sort of a PC/life purchase. And I could not agree with that more. I think, if you've got that money to spend and you've picked up something like that at that price, that's just absolutely unbelievable. Like, what a beautiful card too. Like, Flawless just absolutely, nail that stuff.
I just think it's awesome. I honestly, it's good to see somebody picking up a card at literally at the current day price, I think, or unders of the current day price.
Yeah.
Rather than it going for $200,000 because someone thinks in a decade Ja Morant's going to have 2 MVPs or something.
Yeah.
And a championship.
So, look, I actually don't have a Goldins account, but I would say now that I've actually spent, sort of 30, 40 minutes just browsing through the page, there's actually a lot more low end on there than I was maybe anticipating in my head. So I would encourage people to, just spend 10 minutes and just search for the player that you PC and, see what comes up on there, because it's not all $100,000 cards. It's not all, $50,000 cards. Like, there's stuff that goes for less than 1,000. So
yeah.
Look, probably the takeaway from that is, the two things that I just said then, and also too, I'm going to get myself a Goldins account. And then, lads, I put in there the link that's got the most recent sales. Is there anything on there that takes your fancy, or is there anything on there that, you wanted to talk about? Because the one that caught my eye, there's been a lot of doom and gloom lately about, the industry's, correcting itself and everything's going down. So Steph Curry 1-of-1 Nebula Choice Prism. PSA 8 sold for $144,000 US. Yes, it's a 1-of-1, but it's PSA 8, so essentially you might as well call it less than a raw card. That's, to me, huge numbers. When I see stuff like that, I feel the complete opposite. I think the card hobby is thriving, and
I think the hobby is definitely in a good spot.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just looking through that list now, and the one that caught my eye was the 2019-2020 Panini Prism Gold LeBron James, numbered 7 of 10.
Yeah.
PSA 10.
Yeah.
So it's pop 3.
Yeah.
It's gone for just under 70 grand.
Yeah.
So just for a veteran numbered Prism PSA 10, and it's going for 70 grand.
Yeah.
And then you scroll up a couple of lines and you've got the 07-08 Upper Deck Exquisite Dual Auto LeBron James Kevin Durant went for less.
All right. You've actually opened up a really nice conversation here, Martin. So give us your thoughts on this.
Well, I would have thought the LeBron James Kevin Durant dual patch auto numbered 2 of 5. What is it? It's a PSA 6, I believe. Looking at that label, yep. So PSA 6. But you've got arguably, in some people's eyes, the greatest player of all time, and you've got one of the greatest scorers of all time in Kevin Durant.
Yeah, he's a walking bucket.
Yeah, autographed, numbered 2 of 5, and it's gone for less than a veteran Prism. I would have thought the dual auto would probably be touching, even if it is a PSA 6, would be touching 80 to 90.
So for the purpose of the exercise, if you had that amount of cash, which one would you be leaning towards, Martin?
I'd be buying the dual auto.
Yeah. What about you, Ad?
Yeah, the dual auto. Yeah.
So
I've got an auto that I've spotted.
I think that's a beautiful card, and yes, I agree with you, lads. It's a good pickup, but at the same time, I can also see how someone could go up that high for that gold, because that is literally a beautiful uniform match like that.
Yeah,
and look, the gold
with the yellow,
where he's wearing yellow, he's literally. He's in purple and gold, and it's a gold card. Yeah.
It's not the Kobe tribute dunk picture, but still, it's a beautiful picture. They always do. LeBron.
Have any of those? Have they got any numbered to 10 of the LeBron tribute dunk?
It'd have to be out there, man.
Great.
Yeah,
can you imagine that? PSA 10,
and it's
That's
10.
Huge.
So and look, it's the Lakers uniform. I think that sort of contributes to a little bit, and then you also have to say too, it's just recency bias, right? We didn't talk about that when we talked about the other card, but maybe that card has just gone under the radar a little bit because it's it's an older card.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
What did you pick up, Ed?
I'm thinking this went too cheap, and it went for $387,600.
Okay, yeah.
This is the Upper Deck Trilogy 1, 2, 3 combo.
Yeah.
Clear cut autographs. And I would say 3 of the greatest basketball players to have ever lived.
Actually, yeah, I'm not surprised you picked this. Yeah.
No, it has a LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Michael Jordan autograph.
Yeah.
It is a BGS 10.
Yeah.
With a 10, a pristine 10, Beckett 10, pop 2. It's saying so. They're saying there's another one with the same grade,
and just a 0.5 off a black label too. You'd be spewing, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's. How do you what more? Like we've just seen the floor, what was it? The triple logo man LeBron, and they say estimated value of that one. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. Actually, okay. Yeah. So you've brought up a really good point there. So would you rather the triple logo man or this triple auto?
I'd rather this, and I reckon in time this will be worth more.
Yeah. Yep.
Definitely.
Because look, it's how hard is it to find something with these 3 players' autograph on it?
Yeah.
They sign with different company, so it's not a common thing. It's and we all know how many people collect all 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, that caught my eye. I'm like, oh geez, I'd never be able to. And I'm like, oh
yeah,
oh, it's less than $500 grand. Then maybe one day it's sell the house and get a sneaky auto. But yeah, that was an interesting one.
Let's do a little bit of playoff discussion. So, Martin, your boys, the Miami Heat, are still live and kicking. So, such an exciting game yesterday. That was just heaps of fun. So, congratulations on that.
Yeah, I was on night shift, so I only saw probably the last half of the last quarter.
Yeah,
but a good defensive effort. They kind of shut out when they needed to, and just kept putting the ball in Jimmy Butler's hands and let him do the business.
Yeah.
And I think that's got to be the play for tomorrow.
It's going to be. I think it's going to be an absolute cracker of a game tomorrow.
Yeah,
but you can't call it. Like one day you think Boston's shot.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, oh no, smart. They'll be in so much trouble. And they came out and had a blowout win. And and they're like, it's at Miami, so aren't they the favorite? And you're like, nah, the Celtics are favorite because home court's apparently a bad thing in this series.
Yeah, that's it.
And you don't know which players well, you don't know which we know Jimmy's going to come and play, but
yeah, you'd have to think Butler's probably going to play 46, 47 minutes.
Yeah, they'll just play him till he can't go anymore.
Yeah. And the Celtics, well, look, Tatum's just taken another step. He's special.
He's hard to stop.
He is special. But look, the other day was it game when did Bam step up and finally announce he was back in? He was like, "Hello."
It was game 4.
Game 4, yeah, I think it was. And it was like, "Oh, look, Bam's back."
Yeah,
just out of nowhere.
He's kind of gone quiet again.
Yeah, he doesn't realize the playoffs are multiple game series.
Yeah,
just step up for one of them.
So Celtics are $1.68 favorites, and the Heat are at $2.19.
There's some value there.
It sounds like a bit of fun, actually, doesn't it? And the Heat are at home too. That's
the surprising thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. 6 games in, and I think Boston have won 1 at home, and the Heat have only won 1 at home. The rest have all been away wins.
Yeah.
So
it's weird. It's just bizarre. I definitely it's not the most normal of series. But yes, going to 7 games it's going to be interesting. I'm glad they're probably going to be glad they're going to get a break because in other playoff news, the Warriors gentlemen swept the Mavericks.
Yeah.
That was nice of Steph to sort of say, let's let one go and let Luka get one win in the Western Conference
Luka's
Finals.
got so much scoring punch behind him. It's not surprising they won 1 game, but the Warriors are just too good.
The Warriors are in very scary form.
Yeah.
And I think this is an example of a team that's timed their run to near perfection. And now Peyton is due to come back soon as well. There's something else to factor in. So they're only going to get stronger.
Yeah.
I don't know how many more techs Draymond's going to get, but we know he's probably going to get rowdy in the finals. But
yeah.
I don't know. My gut tells me that the Warriors are just they've sort of paced themselves just right.
Yeah.
And I guess just a quick point before we go and discuss other awards. Steph Curry, the first time winner of is it the Magic Johnson Award, the Western Conference MVP for the playoffs.
Yeah, well deserving too. He's just played brilliantly.
Now, you'd say this is a 2-horse race in the East for the Larry. Is it the Larry Bird Trophy? It's a Magic versus Bird thing, isn't it? So the Eastern Conference gets the Larry Bird Trophy.
Yeah.
That's Butler and Tatum, isn't it? It's a 2-horse race.
whoever wins tomorrow, if it's the Heat, it's Butler. If it's Boston, Tatum.
Yeah.
Tatum gets
But
it.
can Tatum still win it even if the Heat win? Or does it have to be the winning team?
Well, that's an interesting one.
Like, to be fair, I would say Tatum has played better than Butler has consistently through the playoffs.
Over the 6 games, yeah.
Well, like through the entire playoffs.
Even through the whole lot, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's assessing the entire playoff run, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. But you'd have to think if the Heat win tomorrow and Butler has another ridiculous game, they will probably give it to him.
Yeah. Well, the question is, all right, so let's apply that to the Western Conference. Did Luka have a better playoff series than Curry? Like, the man was averaging nearly 40 points or something because he was doing everything, Luka.
He was very good.
In that case, maybe it does go to the winner then.
I'm just I mean, I think Steph Curry had more of an impact and turned games around and is a well and truly thoroughly deserved it. But
yeah. Alrighty, so what we were going to do is pick a player each that's currently live in the playoffs and talk about them. So Martin, you wanted to do Bam? Talk to us a little bit about Bam.
Yeah, look, Bam this season he's been well down on his all-star form of a couple of seasons ago.
And his card prices have been down too.
His card prices are rock bottom at the moment.
Yeah.
So if people are like me and think that he will turn that around at some point, whether it's tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, or whether it's going to be next season, I would be saying now is the time to get on board.
Yeah, because we know what he's capable of. Game 4 showed us that.
He's definitely got talent, but he can't put it together consistently. I think the other thing for him too is he's a big guy. I don't think people collect bigs as much as guards. I think that's also a little bit
Can I use the Rudy Gobert defense?
What defense is
this? No, that's what I mean. Like but he's a defender. Like he gets his reputation is through good defense, and defenders don't seem to get love in the hobby.
Yeah, that's it. But and you look at it, they've always said Bam can defend any position on the floor.
Yeah.
And he can. He's got that skill set.
Yeah.
He's just got to start putting it together and put his 15 to 20 points a night in and go from there.
Yeah.
He's not doing it at the moment.
He is still young, so he's definitely got time to turn that around. So
he's still from that same draft class as Tatum.
Yep.
The 17, 18.
Yep.
So
he's
still only young.
Very young.
You want to do Derrick White? Talk to us.
I did. Well, I wanted to do Jordan Poole, but I think we need to get out of the pool and just get on to current players.
Mate, that's fine. We can do Jordan Poole.
Nah, it's all right. I don't mind. Thought Derrick White was an interesting one.
Yeah, talk to us.
Because we went through trade week, and it was one of those trades that we didn't really think much of.
I think it's one of the worst trades that's happened in my memory.
No, but Boston really wanted him.
They gave up a future unprotected first-round pick.
I think they've got a ready-made Spurs system player,
for a bench player. I cannot understand how the ownership of Boston will let that go through. Like, I'm not wavering from my opinion on this.
Oh no, that's fine. I'm thinking I think they've seen something in him and they want him long term. It's a gut feeling.
Yeah,
there's something more to this guy.
That's fine. But why give up an unprotected first round pick? Seriously.
Well, he's
given up a lot for him.
He's a first round. How old is he? He's 27.
He's not an old dude. Like, yeah, I see what you're saying, but what if that turns out to be the first round?
Pick 29 is not high in the first round. Yeah. He's a first round pick.
Yeah, okay.
And he's been developed and showed that he can do the job.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
he's a basketball player. Yeah.
He's a decent quality basketball player.
Yeah, yeah.
And they know what they're getting. And really through the playoffs in this series, like he's actually, when he's been called upon, he's really stepped up.
Yeah.
Especially the last 3 games.
Yeah. His minutes have definitely ticked up. Yeah.
Minutes have ticked up. Yeah. He's been called upon.
Yeah.
Like DNP in game 2? DNP in game 2.
Yeah.
Did bugger all in game 3. And then 4, 5, and 6, he's like double digit scoring. He's become an option. He's one of those players that I feel like he's taken his opportunity and he's really sort of run with it recently. Just going to go on to card ladder.
Yeah, talk to us.
We've missed the boat. The spikes happened. He's already at oh wait, no, that's Jordan Poole. Never mind. Joking. Jordan Poole's now only at about 500, by the way.
So Jordan Poole is sinking.
No, he hasn't
No?
drowned. No, no drowning in this pool. I'm going to keep making bad pool jokes. No, Jordan Poole still overall is up, by the way.
Yeah.
But he's now, I think, at his point. Derrick White, if you want a silver prism, PSA 10, last sold for 71 US, 150 pop count. So there's a few out there, few people that have got backing the Spurs system. That's what I think. The start of April, he was selling for just over 50.
How much is he up over the last 3 months?
30.
Like 50%.
Yep, 32%.
Yeah. So for me, that's a sell. I'm not interested in this dude long term. He's a bench player at best. Like, he's never going to be in the starting lineup. And realistically, Peyton Pritchard should be playing those minutes, and probably will be in 12 to 24 months. Yeah, that's it. Case closed for me. Martin, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think probably 12 months' time he's at the Lakers.
Oh, wow. Going from the Celtics to the Lakers.
Sinking.
Is he part of the Westbrook trade or the Anthony Davis to the Celtics trade? We're going to try and stitch up Boston.
Think it'd have to be Westbrook.
No one wants Westbrook. No one. You can't convince anyone.
Yeah, no.
Not even the Sacramento Kings are going to trade for this dude. It's not happening.
That's all right. I reckon our new coach is going to find a way to work with him.
Yeah, fix everything.
We'll fix a lot.
So my pick is Grant Williams. So the reason I'm picking this guy is because there's regular season basketball where there's set rotations and everyone plays their prescribed role, and then your minutes don't really vary too much, as opposed, with the exception of injuries and stuff like that. Then the playoffs come along, and then teams play to matchups that work, and players either can play or they can't play, and Grant Williams has shown that he can play. So I think that he's a prospect to keep your eye on because he's still a young man. And also, I would also say too that other teams, if Boston can't keep him, he'll go to somewhere else, and he fits the modern NBA role of a big guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Currently is up 70%, and his last silver PSA 10 sold for $76. So you might kind of argue now is not the best time to be buying him because it's, right in the middle of this sort of, deep run. And
if you've got a Derrick White, you could sell one of those to buy and get yourself a Grant Williams.
You're holding Derrick White, sell it all now. This is the time. Yeah. But so look, I would caveat this with, I wouldn't be racing out to buy Grant Williams right now, but I would be definitely, queuing up some stuff in your eBay. I'll be, looking at this over the next sort of 4 to 6 months.
He's going to be these. All right. So I'm going to put something out there to this.
Yeah. Talk to me.
In the off season where people forget about player performance.
Yeah.
Is this where those kind of players that you're keeping an eye on drop and you should be looking to pick up?
100%.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about this a little bit before. Like I routinely plan to buy one card a year in the off season, and it's usually something that's, quite nice and I've been saving up for or whatever. And I try and do that. I think this year is going to be doubly juicy because we've had a massive drop off in card prices already. So it's actually, I'm really looking forward to this off season to sort of see, what my yearly purchase is going to be, because I think it's going to be super sweet.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting off season, that's for sure.
Yeah. What was the last thing we wanted to talk about? All NBA. So all NBA teams are released.
Yeah, we did the same exercise, didn't we?
Yeah, pretty much. So what were your surprises, lads, for all NBA selections?
I think I mentioned this on I may have put it on our Instagram.
Yep.
That somebody spelt Stephen Curry wrong, and they spelt it Devin Booker. That was my only surprise, I think, from the first and second team. Like, I don't really pay much attention to the third team. I think by the third team, you're like, oh yeah, cool, you made it, congrats. The first and second team are interesting.
Yeah,
I do think Steph was kind of jibbed, and I tend to agree with Jason Tatum's comments that Joel Embiid should have been in the first team. I don't know at the expense of who, but it makes it tough. I still think it shouldn't be a center spot. You should have sort of the center / forwards as 3 spots.
Yeah.
And that way you get 2 centers in, you put one of them. If you were to, like, you're telling me you wouldn't play Embiid and Jokic in the same team?
If you had them on your roster, yeah, you would never take them off the court, right?
Yeah. It's like, Joel Embiid's been traded to the Nuggets. They're both centers. One of them's going to have to play off the bench.
Yeah.
No, you'd be like, how do we play with 2 centers on the floor?
Yeah.
One's playing power forward. Probably be Joker.
It's a really good hypothetical. I know what you're saying there. Yeah.
Yeah. Anthony Davis does it.
Yeah.
He wants
if
to
that
play
was
the
the
four.
case, if you were going to put Embiid in the first team, who are you dropping?
Yeah, that's where I'm just like,
see, because you can't drop Giannis, and the only other forward listed is Tatum. Do you drop?
I think Tatum
Embiid?
could very easily go into a guard spot, but who do you get rid of there? I think Tatum makes the second team. I think Tatum posting that was Jason Tatum saying, I probably deserve to be in the second team because Embiid's in the second team.
I don't think it's a tragedy if Tatum is in the second team.
I think he's being humble to an extent. He's like, I love the fact that I made the first team and I had a great season, but you've got the runner-up MVP in the other team.
Yeah.
I don't deserve my spot.
If they change the rules to like what Adam suggested, which I have to admit, I agree with you on that one, Ad. I think that makes a lot of sense. You just have 2 guards and 3 front court players. There's no shame in Tatum being All-NBA second team, just as there's no shame as Embiid being All-NBA second team.
No, there's no shame in it.
It's just so competitive. It's just so competitive, you know.
Yeah,
Martin,
for sure.
what were your takeaways, man?
But then, for me, Tatum can play a guard role.
Yeah.
Tatum's capable of playing anywhere from that 1 to 4 spot. So
do you like Booker
would you keep
on the
Tatum over Booker?
Yeah.
I just I don't know what it is, but Booker just before Chris Paul came along, Phoenix weren't all that great with Booker.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not a great player. I'm not saying he can't shoot the lights out. I'm saying he probably doesn't deserve a spot in the NBA first team, All NBA first team. And I think Stephen Curry does.
The counter argument for that is the record, because they were the best team in the league by...
So put Chris Paul in there.
A long way.
He's responsible for it. He gelled that team together. My opinion is he's the glue guy.
So Chris Paul, who let's be honest, he's the one who has probably dragged the Suns to that upper level since he's come in.
Yep.
Only made third team.
Yep.
I think that was to do with games played.
Possibly. Yeah. And then, but I'm just saying, like, you can't argue that Chris Paul isn't a major contributing factor to this Phoenix team's success. He got a Thunder team that had no right to get to the playoffs.
That were trying to lose. Yeah. So he played 65 games this year.
So I don't know.
If he had played 82 games, he probably would have been.
Chris Paul makes everybody around him like 20% better.
Yeah, but I
do think take 20% credit off Devin Booker and elevate another player.
I mean, I think being pragmatic here, I think Chris Paul is the person that is making the team better, but his numbers also don't particularly. His personal numbers don't reflect that.
Yeah.
So in that instance, Booker has got the better player numbers. So he deserves to be an All NBA. I think that's how I'd sort of perceive.
I still think overall, Steph Curry had a better season than Booker. But
okay. Again,
so how many games did Curry play?
He missed a lot of games too.
Yeah.
Curry would have missed some time. There was a lot of injury concerns and timing. That's what I mean.
About the same then with Embiid, because he missed games too, didn't he?
100%. And Joe didn't miss a game at all. So Steph Curry played 64 games too.
Yeah.
Stat Muse. Games played 64.
Yeah. Too slow.
Steph Curry.
Well, like you said, Jokic didn't miss a game, and the way he's built, he probably won't miss a game for the next 3 or 4 years.
Field goal percentage. No,
all right. So we were going to do a player each from the All NBA first team.
Can you guess who I'm going to do after my argument about who should be in the first team?
Who are you going to do, Ad?
I'm going to do Devin. Oh, wait. Stephen Curry, who's actually up 5% on his Topps 2009 Topps rookie card. Last sold for $10K. This is a base card PSA 10.
Okay.
Up 5%. That's a decent amount of money.
So Cherry did a question on their Twitter this week about Steph Curry. And they were asking about, is this a good buy or not? And my reply, it was about the rookie card. And my reply was that maybe the real question should be, is his numbered rookie stuff, in the future, is that going to be $1 million card? Because if I'm prospecting ultra high end, I think buying the low numbered Steph Curry, which is currently sitting around the $500,000 mark, in my mind, there's no reason why they can't 2x to that $1 million spot. Because so my argument for that is the Jordan stuff that nearly went to $1 million or did go to $1 million, recently.
Yeah,
the pop count on that is going to keep going up. With this like ultra low Steph Curry stuff, that's to 10 and to 50, that's it. So
my question is going to be, how good is this guy at the end of the day when his career is over? How good is Steph Curry going to be remembered?
They're favourites to win the chip this year.
I genuinely think he has had a more profound impact on the game than LeBron. I'm not saying he's a better player, I'm saying his impact on the game.
Do you mean the social impact, like as in
overall?
How
his
people
impact
like
on
him and
yep. And as when I was coaching junior basketball, every kid wanted to be Stephen Curry. Every kid. It's annoying because when you got an under 12s team and they're all trying to jack threes and they can't even, the ball lands at the free throw line. But it's.
I agree with that 100%.
It's profound.
That singular part, I agree with.
Yeah.
My thought about that is that it's going to be interesting to see who wins more chips between those guys. So
I think Steph.
Because has Steph got 2 more in the back? Because I think they can win this year, and then next year he'll still be pretty good, but maybe their kids are coming up a little bit more. I think Kuminga's got more in the basket. I think Moody's going to get better, and maybe Wiseman will make an appearance. So they'll have a good team again next year.
Yeah.
Maybe the Lakers can still win 1 more with LeBron. Maybe he's got 1 more in the tank. That wouldn't shock me because he's just like a total freak.
That doesn't surprise me. I think LeBron could potentially look. Who knows in LA? They
can do anything. Exactly.
They break your heart one season and then they win the chip the next. It's
my only sort of caveat to that is I think outside of basketball, LeBron has done significantly more. I think he's done a lot more for social change, and in terms of building his community up and improving it, like his schools that he's built, he's built, and the way that he's giving kids like breakfast programs and book programs and stuff like that. Like that to me is world changing. That's not just basketball changing stuff. So
I think LeBron Steph Curry's got some time to do things. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I don't even know what Steph's values are outside of basketball, though. He doesn't particularly market himself like that.
No.
Martin, what's your opinion on this, man?
Yeah. Look, Steph Curry, in terms of his card value, I think that one that's sitting at $500,000, when he retires, he's going to be a straight-up Hall of Famer within a couple of years. He's going to have, 4, maybe 5 rings. He's an absolute freak with the 3 ball. He can hit it from pretty much the 3-point line in the backcourt. So he is ridiculous. But like you say, in terms of what they do outside the game, LeBron just does pretty much more than
his social media presence is scary.
Combined,
And look, and this also could be my own ignorance. Maybe actually Steph does a lot of good community service, but maybe LeBron's just better at marketing himself in that sense. And I also
that would not surprise me.
Yeah, I wouldn't put that past LeBron, right? Yeah. So
I just think it's interesting. So, all right, now I'm not going to go to the GOAT debate because it's LeBron versus Michael, and I reckon Kobe should be up there, and that's great. The greatest point guard of all time. Is that too far? Is that going too far with Steph Curry? Is there an argument to be made that when his career's over, Stephen Curry will be the greatest point guard of all time? Because who are you putting up against? Magic?
I love Magic. I think the way that
I'm a diehard Lakers fan, and I'm saying that Steph Curry, there's an argument to be made that this man is the greatest point guard of all time.
The way that Magic competed and he went after guys, and
do you know the irony about this comparison?
Yeah.
The most recognizable thing about the pair of them, you cannot stop either of them from smiling.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
And I think that is also,
like the guy just
awesome
flicks the ball from half court and it goes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Martin, who did you want to chat about, mate?
From the all NBA teams, I was looking at Joel Embiid.
Yep.
Another one that should have been in the first team. That
Yeah, well, and this is kind of why I picked him out. Like, obviously, he's just been knocked out by Miami.
Yeah.
So his prices are probably on the dip. But my thoughts is he's probably going to get Philly to. I'm going to say they're probably going to add a piece around him, whether that's another big to assist him or whether they look at offloading Harden, because let's be fair, he hasn't really lived up to what he should have, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And they get someone else in to assist him, and they make a good run at getting that championship in Philly, which is what they want. Or whether he just says, you know what, bugger it, I'm out. Get me somewhere, and he could end up in one of the big teams vying for a title somewhere else.
Do you think he asked for a trade?
Anthony Davis for Joel Embiid, done.
I thought you would have offered Westbrook, Ad.
I'm keeping Westbrook.
At this point, I don't think he asked for a trade. But look, if it happens again and it's an Eastern Conference semi-final knockout next year, does that option come up? And he says, you know what, it's not working here.
I don't know. I think he's like a Dirk Nowitzki in Dallas. I think he's
a Philly boy through and through.
Yeah, I think he fits that city so well, and yeah, I actually can't even imagine him in a different uniform. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's been there a long time, but like, there's only so many.
At what point is Philadelphia overprocessed?
Oh, that goes into the dad joke Hall of Fame, Adam. Yeah, that's great. Alrighty, so I've chosen Pascal Siakam. So I'm a Siakam tragic. I've got him in pretty much every one of my fantasy leagues, particularly in keeper leagues. And I've always just felt this guy was just underrated. When they went to the finals and he was creating offense, even though Kawhi Leonard was on the floor, I was just like, this guy is going to take, and Kawhi Leonard left. I was like, this guy's going to take the step. He's going to be 25, 30 points a game. And it just didn't happen. He's had injuries. His numbers really haven't been that great. I think part of that is sort of the equal opportunity offense that they run in Toronto and also the volume of three-pointers that they shoot. And then I could not believe he was named All-NBA third team. But I'm so happy because I think he's the type of guy that has been playing really good basketball for a long time, but has just never had the respect, I suppose. His silver PSA 10 rookies, this is absolutely shocking for me. $188. They're actually down 27%. The real dollar change on that is $72. Despite all of that and how high I just sort of said I was on this guy, I don't particularly think that that's a strong buy. He'll probably trickle up a little bit and you could buy this and I don't think you're going to lose a lot of money out of it. But do I think this is the best purchase that you can make with $188? Like, no, I honestly don't think that. But just for me, I think that's one that I'll definitely, again, be keeping my eye on. And, I'm probably going to buy one this off-season, though. I'm not going to lie.
Question about Pascal.
Yeah, talk to me.
Does he play in the wrong country?
What do you mean?
He plays in Canada. He's a Toronto player. Like, does that impact his value? Is Toronto just a bad market for players?
I mean, I actually don't think that matters all that much anymore. Like, we've had this conversation about Memphis and we've had this conversation about
we had this conversation earlier in the year and DeRozan has gone up since going to Chicago.
Exactly. Oh, I see what you're trying to say.
If he go... I mean, I won't use the Bulls as an example.
Do you think that's a direct correlation?
I think that's a factor.
Because
I think DeRozan was great in Toronto.
But his numbers got better from when he went from San Antonio to Chicago. But yeah, I suppose what you're saying is
his best basketball was in Toronto, right?
No, I don't think so. I think his best basketball's been in Chicago.
Sorry, I don't think his best basketball was in San Antonio.
No,
I think he played well in Toronto and better in Chicago.
Definitely.
But I think being in a market like Chicago impacted his value because the fans, I don't know, maybe Canadians don't collect basketball cards.
Look, I don't think, to be honest, I don't think it matters that much. I think with League Pass, I think with all the, the accessibility that we have these days to, to basketball footage, no, I don't think it's a big deal. But maybe you're right. Maybe that is something that's holding him back.
As far as like not his skill, obviously, but his card his card perceptions and his card values.
Yeah, look,
if he goes to a big market team, does that change things?
Yeah,
if he goes to Philly,
I think if he went to a big market team, he would probably get a bit of an uptick.
Okay, all right.
If they trade him to Boston,
I feel like I've been outvoted here. Look, lads, you're probably right, and I've got blinkers on this guy. 100%. Yeah,
but it's and look, big market. I don't know, hobby versus like the hobby versus the game is very different these days.
Yeah.
Because Los Angeles were trash this year, but they're still a big market.
Yeah,
and people like just blindly collect purple and gold. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it might be an impact. I think Pascal Siakam's a great player. They're very deserving.
Yeah, I'm glad he got it. Yeah.
Of the third team, and it's just I don't know. I don't think the Raptors have had. They haven't been given much credit this year. That's for sure.
Yeah.
No, well, they made the play-in, didn't they?
Yep.
And they even made the first round.
Yeah, but they still they overperformed as far as a lot of people were concerned this year.
Yeah, well, was it like start of the season? Everyone was thinking they're utter trash, and they're probably finishing towards the bottom.
They're competing with Orlando for a lottery pick.
I thought they were going to be a lottery team for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and they weren't. They made the playoffs. So credit where credit's due. I think Pascal is a major factor there. And I don't know. I don't like seeing players that have established themselves with one franchise sort of go to a big market and then become popular in the hobby. It happens in this day and age. So
yeah. So guys, we're at an hour and 15, but we do have some listener questions that I think we need to get to. So why don't we just try and smash through these and then we'll tie it off.
We'll get to the 2-hour mark and we'll be fine.
Come on.
We'll get through one question and get to the 2-hour mark. All right, I promise, no more segues.
All right. Andrew D. Countdown to Prism 2021-22. So the date's blown out again. They haven't actually confirmed an official release date. The release date that I did find was June 22nd. I found that on two sources. I found it on Reddit and I found it off the Beckett website. However, I'm not.
So I'm looking at Blowout now, and it's still saying 22nd. Of June.
Oh, really?
I'm not going to lie to you, lads. I don't even think that's true, to be honest. Because
I can't see that happening.
Yeah, if you've bought pre-order boxes, I wouldn't be betting your life that you're going to get them on time, boys. I think that's really wary. So that really the thing I'm going to segue. I know we said we're not going to do it, but Mosaic is to be released on October the 5th, which is that's literally the next season. So when is Flawless going to come out? When is NT going to come out? Like, that's wild. When's iMac coming?
Post-Christmas, probably.
Well, yeah, that's right. Is it going to be next year? So the schedule is just completely, blown to smithereens. I think that's the PC way of saying, isn't it? Andrew Dean again, what are you buying at the moment? Sealed products, singles, breaks. Martin, what are you buying at the moment, mate?
Personally, I'm looking at singles.
Yep.
I want to buy a bit of sealed product, but I'm sort of on a break at the moment. I'll occasionally go in breaks, funnily enough.
Yep.
Just sort of dabbling here and there.
I think for me at the moment, sealed is good.
Yeah.
I would probably say the trend this year has been very pronounced. So the first month, the product comes out and it spikes, and after that, it trickles down. So I think if you're looking to buy sealed and to put it away, wait a month or so. I think the caveat to that product is going to be impeccable. I think how well that Origins was received this year and how crazy that went, particularly on breaks, I think impeccable is going to be 10x that. So if you're looking to buy something and put it away for a couple of years, impeccable is definitely that. Richard Westwood and I were talking about this the other day, so I do need to credit him somewhat with that thought bubble, but I think and particularly also too, if we sort of stretch this out a little bit further to the release schedule, I think impeccable is going to get a lot of sunshine. So singles for me, I'm not going to bore you guys with what I've been buying with De'Aaron Fox, but I got this Larry Bird number to 5 autograph 3 weeks ago, and I love that thing to absolute death. So it sold really cheap, and I think there was 2 factors that went into it. It was BGS graded to 8, So I think people, wanted to pass on that. And then also it was the horizontal, not the vertical card. But for me, the horizontal card gave it this beautiful matte where he's just got this massive autograph on it. So yeah, I'm stoked on that. John T. Purdue, if the Warriors win, does that put a price rise on Steph Curry cards? I think I think Adam should answer this one.
Yes, it does. Well, look, it's already started. The form and Steph Curry winning the Magic Johnson MVP, first Western Conference MVP, has seen a slight rise.
Yeah.
Look, I think all of the Warriors' success, if they do win the chip this year, will be a credit to Stephen Curry.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone knows it's his team, and it's going to be he's a warrior through and through. Their success will always spike Steph where he ends up. I think we sort of just discussed this.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a different variation of the question that Cherry had on their Twitter feed. Yeah.
But the question is, how high does he go?
Yeah.
Where he finishes as far as the thing is. And the reason I made my comment earlier about the profound impact he had on children in actual basketball.
Yeah, it's okay, Ed. Yeah.
So that comparison, the reason is, think about. So I was making these comparisons, say 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And these kids are all playing under 12. So they're playing under 18s now. In 3 more years, we'll say that Stephen Curry is still their favorite player, and he's got an additional chip. These guys are getting their first jobs. Do you know what I mean? Who do they want? Who do they want to buy?
Yeah, yeah.
When they finally get jobs and money, and they grow to that collector age, we'll call it, where they're investing in slabbed cards, not getting mum and dad to buy them a pack of hoops on the way home from basketball.
Yep.
Stephen Curry is the first name they think of, and they start buying them. I think there's going to be economically in the hobby.
You're convincing me on this, actually, Ed. Yeah.
This generation that's been influenced by this man, is going to cause an economic rise in the hobby.
What do you reckon, Martin?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that. He's going to be on the top of everyone's list, as you say, and
he's generational.
But you look at I haven't got NBA Pass. I just watch ESPN.
Yep.
And so you look at what they call the national televised games. Golden State, LA, and Boston are the 3 main teams that get broadcast.
Yeah.
So he is one of the ones that gets seen by everyone.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's everywhere. He gets seen by everyone.
So I think this is my Stephen A. Smith moment where I'm ranting and jumping up and down. And I think my one line is going to be that Steph Curry will be $1 million card in the future. And I know it's a crazy thing to say, but at the same time, I don't feel crazy saying it because...
For sure.
Yeah, I agree with it. And actually, Adam, you've just helped me sort of cement that idea into my head.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Lachlan Blunt. Lachlan, thanks for chiming in, mate. If you guys don't know who Lachlan is, he's from Blunt Breaks. Check out his break page. He's absolutely massive. So Lachlan, thanks for chiming in, mate. Lachlan's question is, who will the Magic draft first? Martin, what do you think?
Honestly, I have absolutely no idea.
That's a perfect answer, by the way. That's totally fine. Yeah.
I don't watch any of the college basketball.
Yep.
Literally, the only pieces of college basketball I see is the snippets on SportsCenter after the NBA games.
That's fine, mate. We're not putting you on the spot. You can add. What do you reckon?
Look, as far as I'm not going to say I've done any research.
Yeah,
I've literally brought up the prospects. I think they're just going to find another young piece that fits best with the young core they've got.
Yep.
They've literally got the names of a EuroLeague at the team at the moment that, Orlando are just developing young talent. They'll just another piece.
Yeah.
And I would get the best piece possible, which based on this is Jabari Smith Jr., I think, in the prospects, or Paolo. They're the two, both 2 forwards. Pick up the best player. That's literally got to be their plan for development.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry we can't be sort of more thorough or detailed on that, but I think the Magic, the position they're in at the moment, is they're not making leaps and they're not making a big move in the off season.
Yeah,
they're really trying to develop, see if they can get a diamond in the rough from the picks they've got.
Yeah,
and once they have something to work with, then they can look forward. So I'd pick the best player available.
Okay. You said something there, but I'm not going to reply back to that. I'm going to hold that for the next question. But my answer to this question is I really enjoy NBAdraft.net. I think if you haven't been on this site, definitely check it out. So it's NBAdraft.net. What they do really, really well is the player reviews and also the analysis of each player. So, and then after that, it's easy just to go onto YouTube to check out some footage. So,
look at that, Jabari Smith.
On their big board, they actually have Chet Holmgren going second. On the Ryan Russillo podcast that just came out 2 or 3 days ago, they said a snippet which I thought was absolutely fascinating. And what they said was that the GM who's the most confident and the most secure in their job should take Chet because he's got the highest total ceiling. And what they said was Presti is easily the most secure GM that's in this entire draft, irregardless of whether he's at spot 2 or spot 10. And so most likely he'll choose Chet. Now, funnily, Chet's second on their big board. I want to take that a step further. I think Chet is just made for the current NBA game. I think his skill set is just absolutely crazy. And is the Orlando Magic GM on the hot seat? I don't think so. I think he's done enough crazy stuff that they're going to fire him. They would have already fired him by now. So should Chet go 1? So Lachlan, that's my very uneducated response to your question. The next question on our big board is which players' cards you expect to be good buys for the next season, other those players that are still currently in the finals, and that's from Chester Collectors. So thanks, Chester, for your question, mate. So I'm going to kick this one off because, Adam, this is what I was alluding to a second ago. You were saying that their team is, the Orlando Magic is, relatively full of potatoes. I actually think they've got some really nice prospects there. And I'm going to start with Markelle Fultz. I think this guy is finally getting himself back together. He played really good basketball down the stretch of last season. And actually, he was playing like a lead guard should. So maybe he is just an extremely late bloomer, and there was all these sort of rumored, psychological problems that he was having, and then he's had the obvious physical problems. Maybe he's been to a sports psychologist, and now his knee's all good, and he's about to rip this league up. So I think in terms of high risk, high reward, and someone being at the bottom of their possible ceiling in terms of card value wise, yeah, I think Fultz is just buy a couple, see what happens. Do you know what I mean? I think there's enough there to, throw some dirt onto the wall. Martin, what do you reckon, mate?
So what are we looking at? We're just looking at players that are...
Any player, but they're currently not playing. Yeah.
Not in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, they're being knocked out. Yeah.
Okay. Someone to possibly explode.
Well, the question was good buys. It doesn't have to explode.
A good buy. I'm probably going to say a Middleton.
Okay.
Because, obviously he's missed part of the playoffs. People have probably kind of forgotten about him, put him on the back burner a bit. So thought about, obviously you've got Giannis driving that team almost into the Eastern Conference finals.
My only response to that is, hang on a second, doesn't actually show the value that Middleton has, because without Middleton, they actually were quite rudderless other than Giannis, right?
So I'm thinking, obviously, because he's been injured, so he's out.
Yeah.
They're in their off season, so he's probably on a dip.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he would be on a dip.
Yeah, okay.
And when he comes back, Milwaukee don't have to add a piece. They literally just have to get Middleton back in there.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
And they are probably equal favourite for the title.
I think they're going to try and add something to their backcourt, though. That I think, Grayson Allen wasn't what they needed.
If you can add, you add. Yeah. But you look at that team, you don't really need to, do you?
Hey, Martin, do you know the value of his PSA 10 silver rookie at the moment by any chance?
Not off the top of
my head. It's $1,600.
Is it really?
So,
So is he up or down?
No change, actually. He hasn't had any sales.
Yeah. He hasn't moved. Well, there you go.
Yeah. There's only 20 of them too.
Oh, sure. Very, very small pop count.
Okay. That's a nice little hot tip. Yeah.
Honestly, I think once he's fit and he's back in that side, they are probably the best team in the East, and if not, one of the best in the comp.
Yeah. Big ads. What do you got for us, big fella?
All right, I'm gonna name some big-ish cards that I think are on the decline and maybe worth a look in the off season.
Talk to us.
Well, I'm actually going to go back a couple of years into a draft year, and I'm going to talk about the Ant-Man himself, Anthony Edwards,
Okay.
and LaMelo Ball.
Okay.
Both of which have silver prisms that are below the 1K mark. Now, remember, only weeks ago, Jordan Poole rookie silvers were $1,000.
So,
Yes.
but are they raw or graded?
Graded. PSA 10, Anthony Edwards, silver prism, last sold for 840 US.
That seems low, doesn't it?
It's down almost 10%.
Yep.
This is their big year. This is year 3, right? Next year.
Yeah.
This is where it's like the make or break bit of their. And I think Anthony Edwards has already showed that he's a player. He's definitely going to be a factor in the future.
Yeah.
The other player there is LaMelo Ball, and if you're buying on the dip, the last 3 months LaMelo is down 67%. Silver Prism last sold for 919 US.
Yeah, so
that is less than a Jordan Poole rookie 4 weeks ago.
So my two thoughts about this is we are definitely in a correction or a slide. So how much further are we going to slide? So before we jump in and start spending cash, how much further have we got to go? And then the other thing too is the pop count. So the pop count on the Edwards is nearly 700. You compare that to the Middleton, which is 20.
20.
That is a significant.
Pop count on the LaMelo's 130.
Yeah.
So there's not many LaMelos. That dip surprises me. But are we at a point where you're saying there's a market correction? Is it just the market saying we're not going to pay future prices anymore?
Again, I'm not awesome on, world politics and economics. Is there something sort of bigger at play here that, people are...
You mean the world economy?
Yeah. I mean, all jokes aside, are people needing cash and they're flipping, assets to pay for bills?
Yep. But you think about that.
There does seem to be a lot more of those I have bills to pay posts.
Yeah.
People selling cards, whether it's just a marketing ploy or whether people actually genuinely have got bills to pay.
Yeah.
It can be column A and column B. It doesn't have to be.
It can be both. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that are trying to get liquid, trying to literally get cash flow, their cash flow up and running because the cost of living is going up.
Yeah.
Because they need to put more money against their
petrol's
their
$2 a litre. Yeah.
They need to sell a card because they need to put petrol in the car to get to work. We've previously discussed it that in economic times of I suppose inflation, and when the cost of living goes up, something needs to be sacrificed, and people's hobbies.
Yeah,
and this is where people talk about investment versus hobby, right? Because if it's an investment, you're not selling out when it's bottoming.
Yeah, you're buying more.
You shouldn't be. You should be buying more.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that got into this as a hobby, and it might be a lucrative hobby.
Yeah.
But they have to take a step back from their hobby because the rest of their life is getting more expensive.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a fact that cards are globally declining. I think it's definitely a dip while the world people around the world adjust to the return of inflation and things will balance out again.
Yeah.
As historically it's shown that over time these investments do creep up. So as much as they go down, they will bounce back. But people can't afford to pay future prices anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fair point, Ad. I think
if you're not cash liquid and go, I'm going to pay $700,000 for a card that's currently only selling for $100,000 because in 20 years it's going to be worth $1 million.
Yeah.
You're like, well, what is it worth now? I'll pay that.
Yeah.
100 of the 131 people that own a LaMelo Silver Prism want to sell it.
Yeah.
Andrew Hewitt said, what's your favorite and worst experience in the hobby? We're going to hold this question over for the future because we think there's enough in that question for a segment.
I thought you were holding it because you're about to make our worst experience in the hobby. I'm kidding. Sorry.
And our last question is from James Mann. Are hobby boxes getting more diluted? I'm seeing less RPAs coming out of impeccable box breaks, and I watched compared to last year. So I'll lead this one off because I actually did a little bit of research into it. I watched 2 boxes of each get opened on YouTube, and I took notes. I didn't see anything different in Impeccable this year and last year. It's a very, very small sample size, so I'll say this is unanswered. But I would say no. My general gut feeling on product is that they're putting more numbered cards into it, and they're putting more. I'm doing this in inverted commas, in air quotes. They're trying to put more value into boxes. That's my perception. So I'm probably leading the other way, James. But at the same time, there needs to be more research into this, question to answer it properly. Martin, what did you think about that on first impression?
So I'm going to try and look at this at the soccer perspective.
Yeah, give us the soccer angle, man. Yeah.
I think the hobby boxes have the premium hits. So your Prism hobby boxes have your Color Blasts, and let's be fair, they are the most sought after card for the Prisms. But then I find some of the other boxes, like the Megas and the Hybrids and whatnot, seem to have more hits that you're not really expecting. Like I think I pulled out a 1-of-1 out of a Hybrid box the other day, and I wasn't really expecting to hit a 1-of-1 out of it. I thought maybe I might have got something numbered.
They're the best hits, aren't they, when you're not expecting it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Even if it was a team that I despise, but it's still a 1-of-1.
Was this a personal or for a break?
Yeah, personal for me.
Just burn it. Just just do a platinum and just rip it up with like a card shredder. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think some of and you're getting numbered cards and autos out of the hangers and the smaller boxes and stuff now. So does it kind of take away the value of the hobby box when you can spend less on a lesser box and still get a hit?
It's an interesting one.
So you're sort of leaning towards James's hypothesis that the hobby is getting diluted down a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Like if you go back, 3 or 4 years ago, the absolute premium hips were all in the hobby boxes. Where now, like I said, you can get 1-on-1s, you can get good rookie autos out of like retail hangers and stuff.
Yeah, so, I see what you're trying to say.
Is that just purely because the print run has 10x'd and they've got to put them somewhere, or are they trying to make it so that everyone can potentially get a hit?
I think the appeal of opening sealed is that you can potentially get something that is massive. And if you know at the back of your head, like that 1-of-1 that you hit, you can get that out of that mega box. I think opening that is an absolute, it's something that draws you in. So the one that's in the forefront of my mind right now is the blank slates out of Court King's Blasters.
Yeah.
So if you get one of those boxes, in the back of your head, you have a 1 in 20 chance or 1 in 10 chance of getting a blank slate out of it. Like that's pretty juicy, actually.
That's appealing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So does that dilute the product though, or does it make it the opposite? Does it actually, some ways kind of concentrate it? Like, is that better? I mean,
is it saying is diluting the premium product? How's that?
Taking the attention away from the hobby box,
definitely,
which has always been the pinnacle of.
Well, it's the premium version of whatever product you're buying.
Well, in that case, then yes, it does. It is diluting away from hobby because. So another example is in select and retail. I know that was canned, but you can also get tigers and zebras out of retail, which we opened a heap of that and we didn't get one of them. So
yeah, we didn't get any, did you?
But you're still hoping for it. That's the appeal of it.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, and those are absolutely banging cards on the secondary market.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Ad?
We've got no data that can actually back it up, so
we don't need data on this show.
I'll just put my conspiracy hat on.
Yeah, and let's go full conspiracy. Let's get our tinfoil hats.
Let's start rumors. Let's start something trending. No,
Hey, we need tinfoil hats for like a
We
segment.
do. It's just that
would be awesome.
On comes the tinfoil hat.
You think I'm joking? Next week I'm coming on the show with a tinfoil hat.
Tinfoil hat. Yeah. I'm gonna go. My new project will be to make a tinfoil. You know, it'll be trashy silver prisms. No, they'll be base prism cards. Be my tinfoil hat. Oh boy. Oh, what have
I've got a
we done?
3-year-old. I mean, say, come on, mate, let's go do some arts and crafts. And
There
we're
you go.
building
Come on, mate. Adam and I need hats for the show. Here's some prism cards.
Even better, use the base hoops card.
I was going to say, we've just found something to do with prism base.
They're not as shiny, Martin. I don't think that's like quite going to be
Revolution.
Yeah.
Revolution base. There we go.
Oof.
Look, I think they've changed. I think they've diluted the pool to the extent where I think they may have printed more cards. My conspiracy theory would be they've printed more product and made some of the stuff that used to be you'd get overs in your box is now either even. You know what I mean? Like they've tried to stretch it as much as they can by printing more base and parallel sets and things like that. And by widening the number of parallels, they're diluting the chances, not the pool so much, but there's more cards printed, more parallel chases, which means the small amount, which is the RPAs, there's less of them.
Okay.
It's
so you're on James Mann's.
Yep. It doesn't surprise me. What was the biggest problem Panini had 2 years ago when things went batshit crazy? Bleep me for that one. But when everyone bought everything, there was no supply. What's the first thing Panini want to do to fix that? Print more cards.
Yeah,
it's got to be the go-to solution for Panini. We'll make a bunch of different parallels. No one will notice they're getting less. As I said, this is a conspiracy theory. It's not actually what's happened. But
I mean,
if the demand increases by a ridiculous amount, I'm talking. Everything was sold out everywhere.
To be fair to your conspiracy theory, though, I actually don't think there's a conspiracy to say they printed more cards. So
they definitely printed more cards.
Yeah, like they printed more cards. There's no dispute in that. Like we know that.
But doesn't that naturally dilute the pool?
So what the real conspiracy is that are they putting less value into the boxes? I think that's the question, right?
Well, value is perceived on what the inserts are, right?
So, well, what I was going to say is, are we seeing a lot more redemptions these days?
Ooh, okay.
And
redemptions is another one, true.
And now what we're seeing currently, we're seing redemptions are being unfilled, and now people are getting white box 1-of-1s. And I'm doing this in air quotes for people listening to the podcast. So is this the dilution that we're now talking about? Like, is that an objective example of the dilution that James is referring to?
Yeah. I think inherently, if you've printed more cards, when you break it all up, if it's say, and I'll use ridiculously low numbers, say they make 1,000 RPAs, right?
Well, I think they make.
I'm going to use low numbers. If they print 10,000 cards,
no, I think
1,000 of them are RPAs.
I think 1,000 per player. I would guess.
Okay. Because I was just going to say in the whole pool.
Well, in select, right? They have numbered to 299, 199, and unnumbered, and then you've got all your short printed stuff. I'm just about.
I love short printed. It's the best way to mess with the statistics.
When I say short printed, I mean like 25, 10, 5, 1, right? But,
okay, you don't mean the unnumbered short prints.
Yeah.
Like your red and gold waves.
Yeah.
Well, there's the unnumbered stuff.
No idea.
So the thing I'm not too sure about is the 199 and 299, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah.
So at least 1,000 per person ad.
Yeah. So say, but even if you say RPAs, right?
Yep.
Rookie patch auto.
Yep.
Totally, they print 1,000 of them.
Yep.
And they print a total of 10,000 cards. Now you make a bunch of different parallels and all the rest of it, but you still have 1,000 RPAs. And you've now printed 25,000 cards. It's literally diluting the pool because the number of RPAs stays the same. They just make a bunch of random different parallel sets that aren't RPAs. I just don't think the total number of cards printed has increased relative to the number of RPAs that are in the pool of cards.
Yeah,
I think that's the question.
But hang on a second. See, in that instance, though, you're actually not diluting the example you're giving. You're not actually diluting the RPAs, though, are you?
No, you're just making the pool bigger, so it's harder to get an RPA.
So actually, that makes it more concentrated, right?
No. If there's 25,000 cards now and only 1,000 RPA, and there used to be 10,000 cards and 1,000 RPAs.
I think it makes the hobby boxes more diluted, but it makes the cards harder to hit.
Yep. which funnily enough, should increase the value of the RPAs.
Yeah, but we're seeing
it's not, because everyone's got perceived value based on history.
This is where we need someone smarter on the show to come and like tell us the maths on this. I mean,
yeah, but the only person that really knows the maths is the person that pushes the buttons at Panini.
Yeah, but see, I think what I'm trying to say is that part of what you're saying, I do agree with. I think that it makes it cards harder to get. And then I also would probably then agree with now what James is saying. So actually then the hobby boxes are more diluted.
So
to take your point.
We'll take RPAs out of it. Think about the gold to 10 in Prism.
So that makes it really hard to hit that card.
Yeah.
If you've now got 5 new parallel sets to
But irregardless of that, if you've increased the print run to double...
Yeah, and they can only be numbered to 10, so there's no increase to how many there are.
Makes it twice as hard to hit that card, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
I think that's what he meant by dilute the pool.
What a thought bubble we're going to finish off this show with. That's just like...
That was a quick one. We've now hit the 4-hour mark. This will be the 6-parter dedicated to one Facebook post. It was
Martin,
so good.
Any final thoughts, mate?
Nothing really from me other than tuning into Game 7 tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck tomorrow.
It's going to be exciting, isn't it?
Pumped.
Adam, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I think I've sold myself on getting myself a Steph Curry rookie. I think he's an investment, literally.
Yeah.
And he's also going to win Finals MVP when the Warriors win the championship.
Yeah.
Whoever they play, I just think they're scary.
Yeah, great. So I think. Thanks, Martin, for coming on the show, mate. We had an absolute ball with you. That was a really fun episode.
That was a heap of fun.
And I think we can also do a little bit of teasing. So we've had a really good, productive conversation with EJ Card. So they'll be coming on as a sponsor in the very near future, if not next week. So I'm very, very excited about this. Adam, I hope you sort of share this excitement too. And
yeah, that's awesome news. I remember we had a discussion at the hobby hangout, and sort of started discussions.
At the start of the year, really. So it's taken us a little while to get there.
Yeah, but
we're there.
But yeah, it's been good. Speaking of other like bits of info, I almost forgot.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to apologize. We didn't mean to make you wait over an hour and a half to hear this.
Actually, we're not really
we
sorry.
kind of did. We kind of did. You had to listen to the whole episode. You know there are ways to cheat through that and just fast forward, right?
But you could fast forward the answer to the question, though. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
We need to do our
Don't timestamp it in the show notes, though.
Yeah.
They have to find it.
Alrighty, anyway, let's run this random.
So last week, I've got a guest camera up, so I'm not going to be able to do it on. I've got. That's all right. Well, we slabbed our sponsor. We're running a promotion. This is week 2. We did week 1 on Instagram.
Yep.
We've had slabbed. We're running with it for week 2. So like the page, tag some friends in, and so like both of our pages actually, and then tag some friends into the post.
Yeah.
We do have a winner to announce. You can hear me frantically clicking if you can in the background.
Are you running the random as you speak, mate?
Yes.
Wicked.
All right. Are we ready for our week 2 winner?
I'm ready.
Fire Ant 008.
Congratulations, Fire Ant.
Yep.
That could have been you, Martin, and they would have accused us of like favoritism for sure.
I was waiting for my name to come out and there'd be some sort of conspiracy theory.
No, we'll have to wait until we've got our hats
people wearing the prism foiled hats. Yeah, definitely.
But yes, that's our winner for week 2. This goes for how many weeks?
So week 5. So this is week 2 of week 5. Yep.
Okay, so
thank
next
you,
week,
Slabbed Cards, for promoting us. Yeah.
Thanks heaps to Slabbed Cards.
Yeah.
Where are people entering for week 3, Russell? I have no idea.
It's going to be on our Twitter feed. So
it's Twitter.
Yeah. You can't comp this. Yeah. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much, and have a lovely week.
Hang on. You didn't give us any final thoughts, Russell.
I just gave you both final thoughts. You're not getting two final thoughts.
You announced the sponsor. That's not final thoughts.
Really?
Is your off-season purchase going to be a Steph Curry?
No, it's not.
It's going to be a Ja Morant, isn't it? Just admit it.
I'm like
Ja Morant or Jordan Poole.
I'm addicted to prospecting, so Steph Curry is too much of a sure thing for me.
Pick up an Anthony Edwards.
That's too much of a sure thing for me too. Yeah.
Getting those OTE packs.
That's right. That's more up my alley.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
See ya.